Hello Deployment Insiders, and welcome back to another episode where we're going to be talking about tips, tricks, and best practices to making your office deployment easier. Now before I begin, I want to ask you a question about some of the insights and information that you might be asked for on a daily basis. Do you know exactly how to get information about how many devices you might have in your organization with Office on it? Or more specifically, how many builds of Office you might have? And sometimes people ask you how many add-ins you actually have within your organization. Well, today I'm going to show you the best way to get that information with pinpoint accuracy with just a few clicks. So let's get started. Let me introduce you to your new best friend, the Apps Inventory Service, which we recently added to the Microsoft 365 Apps Admin Center. I'm going to leave a link below to exactly how you can get there. Now, the Inventory Service is going to help you gain deep insights and real-time views of your Office apps in your organization. Now, traditionally, to get details about your Office deployment across your organization, you probably had to work with other IT organizations to generate reports, which could take somewhat hours, if not a whole day to get back. And in many cases, it wouldn't be as current as you'd like. Now, our new inventory service can help you gain information about your Office environment quickly and efficiently. And it's not just a report where you're just given rows of data to interpret. Instead, we actually start by showing you insights and giving you answers to commonly asked questions. For example, what if I want to know how many versions of Office do I actually have in my environment? Or more importantly, how many devices are actually unsupported? Now, we surface that information without you needing to run any fancy queries, so you are aware of the status of your environment in seconds. The best part about the service is that you'll have access to information anytime, day or night, even maybe during a coffee break, and it'll always be up to date. And you'll have this information at your fingertips with just a few clicks. Sound great? Well, why don't I show you exactly what this looks like? Now, everything I'm going to show you here is again available in the Microsoft 365 Apps Admin Center. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Now, this is going to require an Office 365 account. And on the left-hand navigation, you're going to see inventory. Now, this is going to assume that you've already onboarded to the inventory services. Leave a comment in the description below if you're actually interested in doing a walkthrough or seeing what that onboarding process looks like. But it's actually really super simple to onboard to the service. Now, once that's done, what you're going to start seeing is your devices are going to be checking into our service based on what we call a Tenant Association Key. And that key is actually available in settings. Now, this is automatically done for you by signing in with your organization's Office 365 account. And once it actually signs in, we generate the Tenant Association Key and have that downloaded for you onto the client itself. So when it does go ahead and check into the service, it takes this key, sends it to the service, and that's exactly how we know which device belongs to what service. And that data is all stored in your tenant. And what you'll start seeing again are some really great quick answers about your organization's environment. I'm going to look at the bottom left where it just says, I have a total of 18,000 devices. A number of them are on 32-bit while the remaining are on 64. If I wanted to dive deep into all of this data, I'm just going to go ahead and now I can see it at the table level where it shows me every device, their version, build. Again, a quick summary of these individual devices. I'm going to go ahead and click on one of them. And what it's going to show me is a full list of not only the hardware information, which is very pertinent to making some critical decisions, but also some, OS information. Obviously, here we have a Windows device with a particular OS build, 64-bit, and then right on the bottom is the really critical Office information. Version 1902, that's exactly what I have on that particular device. Here's that build number, the bitness, when was that released, the update channel, where it actually is instructing the CDN or your management tools to update directly from. So in this case, it's a semi-annual channel preview, and all the different Office apps that are available installed on that particular device. And on the right-hand side, Office add-ins, whether or not this particular device has add-ins. As you clearly see, yes, we have a total of 5 of them. Here are all the different ones. If this happened to be a much larger list, obviously we're not going to be able to see every single one here, so I can click on See All Add-ins, and that's going to take me to a separate page where all of those particular add-ins are going to be shown for this particular device. Again, here it is, add-ins on this particular device name. You can see a total we have there, and then you're seeing everything that we have on this list. If I wanted to further dive into this ad and really get some more information about it, I can certainly do that, but I'm going to show you that a little later. Let's go back into that another device, in fact. And one thing I do want to show you that I really like is knowing whether or not that device had access recently to a file that has macro. Now, as you know, macros all live in a particular file. It's not associated to any particular device or the app itself, but it's the file that contains the macro. So if a user has used it in the recent past, we go ahead and show you that information directly on here by indicating yes. Now, there's a lot more to come around macros. We know that's a critical area that you are continuously trying to manage and potentially struggling with, but that is something that you should definitely keep an eye on, because we're going to be bringing in a lot of great stuff there. Okay, the other thing I really want to show you here is around the export. This is something I know a lot of you have been asking for, and the export feature is something that we made front and center, and you'll find it in tons and tons of pages, and we're going to be adding more. Now, pro tip. The one thing to note here is the export feature only is able to extract 8,000 rows at a time. So the recommendation is filter what you need, and then go ahead and click on that the export button, and it's going to start extracting that, creating that CSV file for you. We know that you probably have more than 8,000 rows that you will want to export for those of you with larger number of devices. For that situation, we are going to be building a new service to be able to export a larger data set. The reason we're not doing that today is mainly from a performance standpoint. It takes a good amount of time to export 8,000 rows. It's going to take a significantly longer if you're in the 30,000 range, somewhere around about an hour. And we know we don't want to see a spinny thing for an hour. Just not fun. So we are coming out with a new service. I'll talk about that in a later video. But in the meantime, let's continue down into the inventory world here. On the top left-hand side, you're going to see a total number of builds. Very important stuff. You can see this is the majority of my builds that I have here. And you can see I have a significant number of unsupported builds. So let's quickly dive in to see what's going on there. Here's again, a full list of every build that I have within my organization, whether or not it's supported. You can see again, this is the only one that is. It happens to be on the semi-annual enterprise channel with 2,200 devices, but the rest of these are not. And so what we can quickly do is click on Show All Builds, Unsupported Builds, and it'll quickly filter that same list that I showed you earlier down to just that, because what we do is we look at that and we filter it automatically for you. And again, you can go ahead and export that information if you wanted to take that information and be able to really manage that via one of your existing management tools in order to get those builds up to date. We actually expose that similar information on the right-hand side, indicating how many channels you're currently using. We can again see all the different channels, breakdown of how many devices are supported or not by channel, and then give you the total number of builds that you have and the total number of unsupported by that channel. Again, quickly jumping in, clicking on that information, again, filters it directly for me, quickly giving me access to that important information. Now, one of my really big favorite ones is the add-ins, the bottom right-hand side right here. You're gonna see fast information, 499 add-ins. Like, that is something that I know would take time to actually get. Of course, these are only add-ins that have been installed outside of Office, because Office already comes with a number of add-ins pre-built in. and we've gone ahead and said, okay, we're not going to show you that information, but 499 add-ins were added outside of that. So let's go and jump in and see exactly what this looks like. Again, very similar to that list I showed you earlier. You can see the total number of versions there, total number of devices that are being affected. This is really cool because I can see here 133 versions of this particular add-in. What's going on? Let's go and dive deep into this. You can see exactly which application, what architecture, what are the different devices. And so this is fantastic to be able to clean house on that number of versions that you might have. Obviously, this is a fake demo with fictitious information, so we're over exaggerating, I hope, of the example that we're showing here. But in some cases, this really makes sense and has been resonating with a lot of our customers who've been using this. So that's something that take a look at. Again, you can click on that. We can dive directly deep into that pre-filtered list. And then you can go ahead, export that, and work through your management team to be able to get those add-ins up to date and to make that happen. So that is a quick view about inventory. So you'll start seeing all of this information quickly at your fingertips, live data. All this information is typically updated within 15 minutes of the device sending the data to our service. And so you could see that is great, quick live information there. One other thing I want to show you really quickly is your security update status. If you haven't seen this yet, this is actually part of the inventory, but it's really focused for those organizations who just want to talk about security. Are your devices patched appropriately with the right version? And so regardless of channel, we currently look at it and we go, okay, this is based off the latest security patch, in this case, April 13th patch, which is, whether or not it's up to date. Obviously with this tenant, it's not real live data. So you can see I have nothing right here. I can set a goal if I wanted to. I can change that goal so I can keep track. It's not doing anything but just helping you keep track of what that looks like. And lastly, on the bottom, you'll start seeing it broken down by channel because the key thing to note here is if you are managing your updates via different mechanism, maybe some are coming directly from the CDN, some are being managed by Configuration Manager and other methods. So you can actually view and see by channel how well you're doing from a security posture standpoint. So you might be wondering how all this data is actually delivered to our service. Well, here's what you need to know. Office is built on a service called Click to Run, which has always been managing how Office installed and actually updated. We've recently given it some new capabilities, which we call Serviceability Manager, now, which is sending data to our cloud services. Now, the good news of all of this is that you don't need to be required to install any new components or agents. All you actually need to do is install a version of 2008 or later to start seeing the devices in inventory. But make sure to keep all of your applications up to date because we're continuously adding new capabilities of service, which could require a new build, just like the last user sign-in attribute that I showed you earlier. Now, you might be wondering if the data that's transmitted is private. Let me assure you that while we collect the data of your Office apps for insights, it's actually protected by the privacy standards for Microsoft 365 apps and stored in each of your organization's tenant, meaning we don't actually have access to any of this data without going through strict security measures. And trust me, I just don't want to. Now for some tips. Now there's gonna be some times when your Office devices just won't show up in inventory. One of the reasons could be because it's behind a proxy and you're using an older version of the Office apps. Although the enhanced Click to Run service was released with 2008, we are continuously improving and adding new capabilities. When we initially launched the service with the client, we didn't support proxies, but we know exactly how widely that is being used. So we made the necessary changes to access our services. So I encourage you to deploy the latest version of the Office apps to all your devices, which include all the new fixes and enhancements to Serviceability Manager. Now we'll have another video that's going to go really in depth of how Serviceability Manager works. So keep tuned to this channel for that information. I hope you enjoyed the new app inventory service. To learn more, head over to the official documentation for the best ways to get started. And don't forget to click on that subscribe button and notification icon to know when we release new videos. If you want to continue this discussion about this or any other office deployment related topics, head over to the Tech Community site where you'll be able to chat with me and members of our engineering team and other IT admins from around the world. As always, we will add the links to the description below. I hope to see you there. Until next time, keep on deploying.